Hello and thanks for joining me on another episode of Zulf Talks Photography. In this news update, we're going to be looking at you can film behind the scenes footage while you're taking photography. I'm going to go through an article to explain how that's possible. We're going to be looking at which cameras shoot 4K at 60 frames a second. It can be quite tricky finding something, so we're going to cover that today. Real photographers are getting undercut by AI tools. We're going to have a look at that. Some new Sigma Art lenses have been announced, and as well as waterfall photography. It's nice weather. If you're going out camping and stuff, you might want to consider taking your camera along. As well as Canon EOS releases two new Canon cameras, which are going to be in comparison to the R5. So what are we saying today? We're going to go to the first article straight away, which is one easy way you can film behind the scenes of your photo video shoots. You can see this is becoming a common occurrence. People are starting to share stuff on social media. So how do they do that? You're making a photo, you're taking photography. How can you film at the same time? Well, first, if you've got a person filming, then it's fine. If not, you can actually have a GoPro attached to your camera, which works quite nicely. So keep that in mind as an option. Let's see what they're saying here. So F-Stoppers have got an article. I think we've all been there. None of us want to have to bring extra stands, tripods, monopods, or even extra cameras just to get behind the scenes images, which is often referred to as BTS, behind the scenes for short. So video for our websites or social media, you can share it in multiple places basically. Even though we'd love to have that content, after some trial and error, I think I've landed on a fun and flexible solution by using a 360 action camera. But there are some things 360, you need to buy a new camera basically. Is that what you're telling me? Can we not do this with stuff we've already got? So what were my criteria? Okay, his criteria, interesting. I want the camera to be mounted on a rig. I would like as much flexibility. I need the camera to be able to handle vertical shooting. Oh yes, that's true. I would like any footage image to be able to be used for both standard 16:9 and horizontal vertical. So basically both. Okay, that's not bad. Why a 360? Okay, if you've got a couple of £100 to spend, maybe that would be an option. But image stabilization, is that like a thing? Will it be stabilized? Because you're going to be moving a lot with your hands. We've got an example here. That's not a bad video as like a second person viewing. Okay, fair play. Downsides. Oh, that's interesting. The entire 360 image from the Insta360 1R is, holy moly, absolutely massive. That's going to use a lot of space. I'm assuming you have to use their program as well. Is that right? You can crop in to that to get standard video frames. You have to go and edit an extra layer of footage. Does anyone care? I'd argue that for BTS stuff, it's more than adequate. But if you're a stickler for video quality, you might need to think, yeah, higher resolutions. The low light performance on the small action camera isn't great. Okay, every single clip and image file from 360 footage has to be edited and processed through the Insta360 apps. See, this is the bit I don't like. This is adding an extra full process. So what you have to do is get that footage, put in a separate program, edit it, get the bits out, put it back into your program, which is a bit long-winded and unnecessary, in my opinion, but still something new to learn. Trust me when I say that using the phone app is pretty good and you might even find it fun to use. Okay, good article there by Joseph Ellis. Thank you for sharing that on the F-Stoppers article. So I think we're in the early stages of this. Not really, but like in the grand scheme of things, 360s, it is the early stages. So I think at some point there will be some plugins or add-ins where we can get into our normal software, treat it as normal video, possibly. But we can't really, because you have to decide which bit of the 360 you want to show. Because in the real frame, people always ever see like the bit they want to see. So you have to decide which bit you want to show them. I like that. That's an interesting option. And which cameras shoot 4K video at 60 frames a second? We've rounded up the best consumer cameras for 4K 60 frames a second footage to help you give flexibility with your filmmaking. This is an article on Camera Jabber. Always find these interesting. Camera Jabber have some nice articles. What are they saying though? Are they going to surprise us? The growth of hybrid shooting has meant that photographers aren't just photographers anymore. That seems to be the case. Videographers as well. Many working professionals such as wedding photographers see an increased demand for video from their clients. This means they need a camera that can do both jobs. Okay, what's the cameras? The best cameras for shooting 4K 60 frames a second video. Panasonic S5 II. Okay, nice shout. GH5, still a staple. I like the fact they give us prices. GH5 Mark II. GH6. GoPro? Okay. I think GoPro's dying a slow death, but okay, we'll include that. Oh, we got another GoPro 10. A7. Couple of A7s. Okay. Fujifilm. These are some expensive cameras here. T5. See, even them, some of them, they're so expensive, they don't include prices. You have to actually click to read the prices. Okay, here's one for a Canon R5. 5 grand. Okay. Now, R6, R3, EOS R7. I'm not sure. There's a majority of cameras here that, if you're shooting 4K, are you willing to spend upwards of 5K on a camera? That's a question for you. Let me know in the comments if you're watching today on the replay of the podcast. We have got a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K. That could be an option. If you're thinking about getting it in a way that you can actually easily, it only costs $1,000. So compared to the other cameras, that may actually be a valid option for you. 4K resolution on the GoPro. I'm surprised they've got a lot of cameras here, and they've even got a drone. So if you're not sure, the drone situation might actually help you. iPhone 13 Pro is capable of shooting 4K video at 60 frames a second. This is where you want to go now. So who needs these anymore? Why do you want, you don't need a massive DSLR anymore. A lot of people have cameras on their phones, and I'm glad that they included that. So the iPhone 13 Pro is capable of shooting 4K video at 60 frames a second with full access to all 3 lenses when shooting. It can also record 1080p HD videos at 120 frames and 240 frames per second for slow motion playback. But you maybe get, because what I do is I have secondary phones, so I'll use another phone alongside my phone for just video, because obviously it is more intensive, it takes up space, battery power, all that stuff, so you want another phone around. Sony Xperia Pro, okay, another phone in there. Huawei P40 Pro. Okay, wow, there's a lot of mobile phones now which are competing, and it's just more easy, isn't it? If you've got it in your pocket, you can use it, and that's what people are going towards. Nobody really wants to carry a massive camera in addition to stuff they're already carrying. That's always interesting to see that. Let's have a look at the next. New Sigma lenses. Art Lens leaked Canon R1 specs. So recent announcement is saying, what's this? So Sigma 40mm 1.4 art, super wide. Okay, not really my cup of tea, but if people out there doing wide shots like astro photographers, or maybe, where would you want that? House, like, you know, real estate photography, is only £1,500 for a lens, for an ultra wide one. You've got the Comica VM30 lens, which is about 189. That's an alternative option. The Canon R1 tremors before the earthquake. There is no doubt that the R1 is a complete king in cameras apparently. Larger body than the R3, the largest OLED rear display among competitors, possibly 4-inch diagonal screen. 45 megapixels. Do you need 45 megapixels? Photo contents corner, good deals and new sales. Okay, I was expecting a little bit more interesting. It's just a wide lens that they've reduced, which isn't really great, is it? Because telephoto is where the money is. Where, okay, monochromes, world natural photographers. Yeah, so that wasn't amazing, groundbreaking news, but it's something that's going on, so at least you know about it. Better waterfall photography. Well, so with waterfall photography, you want a tripod. You want a slow shutter speed if you want that nice wavy kind of photos. Has he got an example here? No, he has not. It's a video. So waterfalls are some of the most popular subjects in landscape photography, offering a great way to add a sense of drama and motion to the otherwise still scene. They require some special considerations and techniques to maximize the quality of your images. Though this excellent video tutorial will show you a range of great okay, you know what, should I share this with you? What I'll do is in the show notes, I'll put links to this video. So if I open this up in YouTube, and again, thanks for watching this episode. It has been made possible by trustedcreators.org. You can go on to trustedcreators.org to see show notes and also sponsoring opportunities. So if you're a new creator, you're not sure what you want to do, if you go and fill out the form there, they can actually get you started on the ladder of success, as they call it. Online is the way, isn't it? Trustedcreators.org. Thank you. Continuing with today's episode, we are saying waterfalls and photography. And we've got a nice video here. I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to put it in the show notes. So we're going to put it in the resources section. If you're listening on Apple, iTunes, if you're listening on Google Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere else, just drop down to the comment section. You'll see a description of today's episode with a quick overview of what we're covering, as well as this resources. So I want you to check this video out. It's by Photo Tom, and it's tips for waterfall landscape photography. If you're into photography, this can apply to a number of areas, because you can do light photography with the same type of concept. If you've ever looked at, like, they do the motion light, because it's slow shutter speed, same kind of arena applies. If you're not familiar with that, there's a full episode explaining slow shutter speeds and photography as well. So that's a nice article on f-stoppers, and that's helping you getting water shots. As well as, is the Canon EOS R5 getting 2 replacements this year? Canon's been absolutely annihilating it because they're getting rid of their older cameras now, which is what I use. To be honest, you don't need anything more than that. If you know how to use a camera, you don't need a new camera. Rumors suggest the Canon EOS R5 Mark II is coming by the end of this year, along with high megapixel version. Oh yeah, if you didn't know, apparently these days you just need more megapixels. That's the key measure. This camera is 24 megapixels. No one's ever complained to me about the quality of these images. So these images have been printed in magazines, online media, professional billboards, and all sorts of stuff, and no one's ever complained. So do you need 45,000 million megapixels? I don't know. It's been rumored for quite some time that Canon is preparing the launch of the next version of Canon EOS R5, its popular professional workhorse camera. These rumors were somewhat dampened by Canon releasing a huge update to the existing EOS R5, adding 400 megapixel images. I'm just going to stop reading here now because it's getting ridiculous, isn't it? Okay, you got $4,299 in your back pocket. Go and pick that camera up. Or you can get something. Well, I've started, if you notice on there, you can't actually see what camera this is anymore, because I've taped over all the logos, because Canon don't sponsor me. So why would I be promoting Canon? Well, even though I've just told you it's a Canon camera. But to those that are listening on the regular podcast, you'll know what cameras I use. Gareth is a photographer based in London, working as a freelance photographer and videographer. So what tends to happen is, a lot of the times, a newer photographers coming to the scene will be like, oh yeah, I'm going to show how good I am by how expensive my camera is. Whereas professional experienced photographers will be like, the work speaks for itself. People don't ask about the cameras. They'll know that, okay, this guy did a shoot for X, word of mouth. That was a really good shoot. I don't care what camera he uses. I know he can do that quality of shoot. Just do it. And you turn up with your camera, whichever camera you're using, and you get the photos, you get the job done. So it's always interesting how this plays out, and it's always going to be the case. You get some flashy photographers, you get normal photographers that get the job done. Which one are you? Photography subreddits go dark as Redditors protest against the company. Reddit is one of those places that are interesting. Are you a bit of a Reddit fiend? Apparently it's going dark for photography subreddits. The popular photography subreddit has gone dark, preventing millions of photographers from accessing vital information, as well as photography. Popular camera related subreddits including Photoshop, Lightroom, cameras, Polaroid, and videos are all down as well. It's been a bit rockety for Reddit recently. They got rid of their live program. I used to be a live streamer on Reddit, specifically having live shows just for Reddit, but I think they were running into some money difficulties, so they've stopped that. And now they're slowly coming into that. They've tried to push the advertising. You may have seen on Facebook and other sites that they've tried to push Reddit adverts, like, oh yeah, use Reddit for advertising your business, we reach a lot of audience. However, Reddit's not really designed for that. The people on Reddit are a little bit more there for fun, messing about on like photos and photoshopping photos. So people put up a photograph, can you update me to look more slim? And then they'll like put a slim fast in there or something silly, just like a bit of a joke. So yeah, hopefully Reddit makes it through this. Photographer captures gorgeous photos of fall colors in Patagonia. See, this is AI can do this. However, knowing the fact that a person was there taking that photograph, can you tell? Does that look fake? It does look fake, to be honest. It's a bit too HDR, but that's the recent. Well, it probably doesn't come across on your screen. Depends what you're watching this on, because that's another factor. Full disclosure, this article was brought to you by OEM System Cameras. Okay, so this is a sponsored post by OEM system ambassador. So Olympus is the OEM camera manufacturer, so they probably gave the guy a camera, sent him out and said take a few nice photographs to show how good our cameras are, which is another point. Can you trust people anymore? There's loads of people sending free stuff out, especially when they've got new cameras, to get really good photos. Is that I don't know, it's questionable. Now these photographs they look perfectly fine. There's a high resolution shot mode, so there's an extra level of processing going on in the camera before you look at it. If you took that with a normal camera in RAW mode, that wouldn't look as deep as what that looks, because it has boosted it. So is it real? Is that a bit too AI to me? Does it look a little bit fake? Does it look a little bit cartoony? I think it does, but who am I? I don't do landscape photography, so I don't know anything about it. Okay, I had never been to Patagonia before, but I have studied the region extensively. Smith tells Petapixel. I knew I should expect harsh weather, but it was even more crazy than I could have imagined. 1 minute it's blue skies and sunshine, the next minute you are in a blizzard. Yeah, so that's like, oh my god, that looks so nice. If you look at the stones in the water, they must have the polarizing filter of some type on there to avoid the light coming off the water, reflections and reflections? No, refractions is a different word, isn't it? Okay, nice. Good article. Who's this by? Well, it's no point me saying it's apparently the sponsored post by Olympus, so it doesn't matter who it's by. Okay, Nikon announces firmware 4.0 for the Z9. So this is a bit of a boost on their firmware versions. A little while ago, there was an article on the f-stoppers suggesting firmware updates because our cameras have evolved into something more akin to mini computers as opposed to purely mechanical workhorses. Yeah. So what are we getting in the new update? Some improvements, focus enhancements. Okay, I'll give you a little blurb on that. So we're just gonna firmware announced for the Z9. There's gonna be a bit of improvements going on. We've got some improvements such as focus enhancements, pre-release buffer expansion, exposure delay mode, more custom controls, improved UI, playback enhancements, additional high-res zoom options, and slow motion video functions. No longer is your camera a camera, it's actually a mini computer, which is apparently what they're saying in this f-stoppers article. Make sure you update your firmware on the Z9, mate. Perfect. So that was a little update on the old what we got here. We've got another one which I liked the look of. Am I going to be able to see it though? People with a passion. Callum O'Keefe's charming portraits of Britain's collectors. So, oh my god, Branston baked beans. Look at that. The guy's like a full-on. Is that like a thing? I think it's a thing. Let's have a look. So it seems like there's still a few key people out there who like to collect baked beans and put them all over their dustbins. And I'm assuming that's a dustbin, or is it like a washing up bowl thing for like your laundry basket? But yeah, you want baked beans all over your loo apparently, because that's where you're going to be visiting if you're eating that many baked beans. I don't know. You tell me. That was a quick little short. See, done the O there. You done that whack. And oh, okay. Photographer captures a heart-stopping moment of Jackal saving her pup from an eagle. Oh my god, that's a great... Can you see that? Oh, let me zoom in a bit. There we go. What a moment. I would like to see the shot of... Maybe that's the only shot, but maybe like... dropping down. Nature and wildlife are stunning sometimes. Ooh, next level. That has been a quick update for you on the old photo news and what's going on in this current environment. If you're worried about photos and you're worried about cameras, have a look at zulfphotography.com and you'll see some of the key cameras. You don't need expensive gear to be a photographer. You'll see some of the stuff I talk about. It doesn't have to be like the articles we looked at today, because obviously those are pushing really new fancy cameras. They want you to spend loads of money. You don't need to spend loads of money. I'll see you on the next episode of Zulf Talks Photography Podcast. You can catch up on previous episodes right here. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.